Welcome back to this next installment of Bible Topics That Make You Say, hmm. And I'm Robin Sweet Ransom, and I'm so glad that you elected to join me today. For those of you who are faithful subscribers, welcome back. For those of you, this is your first time. Welcome to the family. And I pray that by the end of this video that you see value in this channel and that you subscribe, because I'm going to be talking about something that may resonate with you. I'm going to unpack for you a three-part series that I affectionately call The Hidden Ones. And we're going to be talking about what that even means. What does it mean to you? So, have you ever felt as if you've been called but not chosen? Like God whispered purpose in your ear and the world just passes you by, or you showed up ready for the fight and they don't even have you listed in the military? Do you feel as though God has birthed so much in you that you've yet to pour out? And maybe you're wondering if the dream has passed you by. In other words, are you anointed but not invited? Join me. By the end of this video, you're going to appreciate more about what may be going on in your life and why God chose a time such as today to unpack it for you. The one they skipped is the one God sent. Is this you? Check out this picture. This beautiful queen in her royal blue suit, crown just poised just above her head. She hasn't been crowned completely yet, but she knows who she is. But the rest of the world doesn't. They're not even checking for her. It looks like they're looking in the other direction. The one they skipped is the one God sent. And this is a Bible channel, so you know I lay a foundation of scriptures for you to begin to build your house on. So let's get into it. Let's get to building. Let's pick up in 1 Samuel chapter 16. Let me set the scene for you. We're going to talk about David before he became the David that we know of. So King Saul was anointed by Samuel to be the first king of Israel. Samuel loved Saul, tall, handsome. In fact, he was head and shoulders above everybody else in his nation, literally. But he became unfaithful to the Lord. And God said, you know what? Enough of that. I am going to send you to Jesse's household where I have a mate. I'm going to have you anoint one of his sons as the next king. So he goes, and Jesse is excited, and he prepares a feast. And so he causes his first son, the firstborn, to show up, and he's handsome and tall, thinking about Saul and how he looked. Samuel's thinking, surely this is the one God has chosen. And God said, no, it's not him. So let's pick up in verse 10. After Jesse presented 7 of his sons to him, Samuel told Jesse, the Lord hasn't chosen any of these. And then Samuel asked him, are these all the sons you have? Now listen to this. Jesse knew that Samuel was there to anoint one of his sons as the next king of Israel. So he invited his sons, and none of them were whom God chose. It took Samuel to say, are these all of them? I know I didn't hear the Lord wrong. And then Jesse says, oh, they're still the youngest. But right now he's out tending the sheep, which was a menial job back in the day. But guess who else took on that job as being shepherd with no shame? Jesus. So David was out there, the little shepherd boy. His father didn't even think he was worthy to invite to the feast. Even if he wasn't going to be chosen, just let him be there. He didn't even think he was worthy. But this is what Samuel says, we won't sit down to eat until he gets here. So Jesse sent for him. He had beautiful eyes and healthy and handsome appearance. Then the Lord said, anoint him, for he is the one. Look at that. The one that they skipped was the one who God sent. He was anointed, but not invited. Is that you? So Samuel took the horn of oil, anointed him in the presence of his brothers, and the Spirit of the Lord took control of David from that day forward. Then Samuel went out to Ramah. For a deeper dive into this story, check out a video I did over a year ago. I'll put a link in the description. Does your father see you as a loser? Because wouldn't you say that Jesse saw David as a loser. He didn't even feel like he was worthy to even invite to the meal. And look at what happened. He was chosen. David was chosen as the king, the youngest of the eight, not the firstborn. And we know in Bible times, the firstborn was always seen as the leader and got the double portion when it came to the treasure. Let us move on. Another in the in this episode of the one they skipped, the one God sent. Let's go to Genesis chapter 37. Let's pick up and talk about Joseph. Then Joseph had a dream. Then he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. He said to them, listen to this dream I had. There we were binding sheaves of grain in the field. Suddenly my sheaves stood up, and your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheep. Huh, let's see how his brothers took to that. Are you really going to reign over us? His brothers asked him. Are you going to rule us? So they hated him even more. They already hated him. Now they hated him more because of his dream and what he said. Then he had another dream and he had the audacity to tell it to them again. He says, look, I had another dream, and this time the sun, moon, and 11 stars are bowing down to me. They didn't want to hear that. And even his father Jacob said, are your mother and brothers going to bow down to the ground to you? Hmm. Be careful who you share your dreams with. Be careful whom you share your vision with. Not everybody is happy for you, and they will try to derail you, as would happen with Joseph's brothers. You know, instead of him immediately going into rulership, they didn't give him any support. In fact, they later stripped him, threw him in the pit, and sold him off as a slave. Be careful who you share your dreams with, but nevertheless, it was necessary. It's sad that the enemies of his household were the ones who rejected him, but it served a purpose, right? He was set up for a bless up. And I'm going to do a deeper dive on this topic about a dream deferred. And get this, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Ring the bell to be notified for when I drop this video, because I go deep in it and unpack more about a dream deferred. All right, you're going to want to see that. But let's keep it moving. The one they skipped is the one God sent. Let's talk about Jesus. It was foretold about Jesus in Isaiah 53:3. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of suffering who knew what sickness was. He was like someone people turned away from. He was despised and they didn't value him. People think that Jesus was this beautiful, handsome, tall man. No, when you read Isaiah 53, at least how I understand it, his appearance wasn't even seen as good. He didn't look like the world expected him to look. Maybe you don't look like the world expects you to look. Maybe you don't have the degrees that the world says you have to have for this next opportunity. But let me tell you something. When God is setting you up for something, he will invite you to the party, even when others have seen you as unworthy to be there. Luke 4:24, Jesus says, I assure you, no prophet is accepted in his own hometown. David wasn't accepted. Joseph wasn't accepted. And Jesus wasn't accepted. So if they're not accepting you, you're in good company. We know how their stories turned out. Matthew 21:42 says, Jesus said to them, have you never read in scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? This came from the Lord and is wonderful in our eyes. I love how he did a great job portraying Jesus in The Chosen. So let's keep it moving, focus on you. The one they skipped is the one God sent. Is that you? Are you a part of the hidden ones that needs to be revealed? Get this, you are anointed and assigned. So don't chase after invites, clicks, and views. When it's time for you to glow up, that time won't pass you by. So hold tight. Remember, David wasn't even on the guest list. He was anointed, but uninvited. Joseph had the dream, but not the support of his family. In fact, they tried to do everything to keep the dream from happening, only to set it up to happen for his final destination. Jesus was rejected in his own hometown. And now we're talking about them all over the globe. Remember, rejection is really redirection. Because know this, when they know your history, they often can't see your destiny. Because remember with Jesus, they were saying, isn't he Joseph's son? Don't we have his brothers and sisters around here? Surely he can't be who we've been praying for centuries. Because he didn't look the way they expected. He didn't come handsome, living large and in charge. He came as a weak baby in a manger. Remember this, Yahweh specializes in choosing those who are underestimated. I have learned to be okay with people underestimating me as long as he is estimating me worthy. I trust his math over anybody else's. Look at this. David is being anointed in front of his brothers. They all have to look on, even his daddy. And he became king, the greatest king of Israel. Jesus comes through his lineage. And then we've got Joseph. He became second to Pharaoh. His brothers did bow down to him. Father, too, in a sense, because he recognized he needed Joseph for his for his for him to be taken care of in his old age. And I go more into that about in the dream deferred. So you'll see that. I don't want to dig too deep into that right now. But remember this, we are the chosen ones. And when God has set you apart for something, even though it seems like it's taken a long time for it to come to pass, there is a purpose in the delay. So don't give up. Don't allow yourself to wallow in discouragement. And remember that God has set you apart. His mighty hand is over your life. Deuteronomy goes on to say here, Deuteronomy 14:2, you have been set apart as holy to the Lord your God, and he has chosen you from all the nations in the earth to be his own special treasure. All right. Remember this. Sometimes the people who put you out puts you right in to purpose. You like that? All right. Before we go any further, I want to invite you, for those who have not made Jesus your Lord and Savior, this is an invitation you don't want to let pass you by. If you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved. Romans 10:9 and 13. So that you don't miss the most important place to be, definitely accept Jesus's invitation so that he can become your Lord and Savior. And I want you to come back for part 2. But here's the question. Why would God anoint you and then hide you? As my mama would say, don't know, do you? Come back for part 2. All right, make sure you ring that bell so you'll be notified. All right, see you next time on Bible Topics that make you say, Be sure to drop a comment so I can pray for you. Let me know what's going on with you, how this message blessed you. Like, share, and subscribe. And join us live for Bible study. Send me an email if you want to join us on Zoom. All right, until next time.